I'm Suzanne. I'm a Sri Lankan Australian. I'm going to use tea as my chat starter to ask Asian Aussies, is Australia their cup of tea? If not, what is? And what would they do if they could to change things to make Australia taste better? I've got to give this hipster stuff up. Get back to my Sri Lankan roots. In today's episode, I'll be hanging with comedian Ashwin Segkar. Ashwin will tell us about his Indian heritage and what it's been like to live around the world when East meets West. We'll be talking about his experiences as a migrant and strategies for fitting in. Also, what he reckons the future may look like and how we can draw on a variety of cultures to make Australia a better place for everyone. I'm meeting Ashwin here in the West End markets in Brisbane. I'm excited, but I'm a little bit nervous at the same time because Ashwin's going to train me in how to do my first stand-up comedy gig. I don't think we're going to do it here though. It's a little bit crowded and a little bit... Oh, Ashwin!
Hey! Serious?
Yeah, great, yeah. I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited,
yeah?
but I'm scared. Are we going to do it here though? There's like lots of people and lots of noise. And
it's not the right atmosphere. I've got something special for you though.
Okay.
Come on, let's go.
Okay, great. Are we here?
Yeah.
But this is a boxing gym.
Yeah, of course. So sanitize your hands and let's go.
Ooh. So, how are we going to start, Ashwin?
Coach, yeah.
Coach Ashwin?
All right.
Coach?
Yeah.
Coach.
Sus,
Coach. Yeah.
what do you care about? Let it out. What do you care about?
I care about eating vegetarian food.
Deeper. It's really important to hold the microphone correctly when you're on stage.
Right, yep.
It says a lot about you and to make sure the audience can hear what you're saying.
Oh, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're all here to...
Yeah, it's good. It feels a bit tense. You're really like hugging that mic like it's an unborn child. You're going to pace a lot on your first time because you'll be nervous, right? So we've got to get your pacing technique down.
Cacao! Cacao! Hello, everybody out there in comedy land.
That makes me nervous because what if you drop that microphone? Sus, I'm just going to get you a chair. You're not a walker. You probably shouldn't move, ever. Don't ever move in front of me again. Sus, part of being a comedian is to discover your inner clown, which means just letting go of any of your inhibitions, just coming out being bare naked, internally, on stage, and just giving us the real you. So what is it? What really makes you sad?
Maybe when I see Asians being depicted as the invaders on the telly.
Now we're getting somewhere.
I was all alone, no phone, no boyfriend.
I'll be your boyfriend.
What? That's it. Because Asians get treated like they're the enemy.
Yeah. And that makes you angry as well, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's not vegetables.
Angry.
It's not vegetables, it's racism. Sus, I can see your soul right now. This is you. No more vegetables. No more Aussie walks. This is the real you. This is Sue's soul. You're ready.
Man, that was grueling.
Yeah.
Oh, how long have you been doing this stuff?
About 6 years.
6 years, man.
It's tiring.
Why did you choose comedy? Why did you choose stand-up?
I don't know. I was always like this. I was always a bit of a writery kid. I loved writing stories and telling tales. And when I got to uni, I thought, you can't make a living writing stories, can you? I couldn't see an option for it. But stand-up, people pay you to tell you their stories on stage. I mean, not much. Like, you get a beer, maybe some nuts, but it's something.
And did your parents, were they cool with this stuff? Like, how did they react?
They disowned me.
All right.
Culturally.
I can see why.
They didn't really. But they gave up on me, They realised I wasn't going to be like a lawyer or a doctor or engineer, one of the 3 approved Indian professions. So they kind of embraced us instead. They couldn't fight it anymore, I think. So they thought, okay, this is fine.
Because they come to your shows now, right?
They do. They're really supportive. Sometimes they tell me not to do dirty jokes.
Who was your sensei? Like, who was your coach?
I think it's like that Fight Club scene, you know, where he thinks he's got a coach, but he was the coach the whole time. So I think stand-up is a thing where you don't really have a coach. You just got to get on stage and do it, and bomb for a year and make all these mistakes and realise why you're not funny. And just
like me, pretty much the
like
whole way
all of
through.
us, we all bomb. I bombed last week. You always bomb in this art form, especially when you're trying new stuff out. But yeah, you just got to go find your inner clown.
How many of these shows have you done? Like, you must have done like hundreds.
Yeah, I'd say so. Like, yeah, maybe 368 or something.
Well, as they say in Sri Lanka, it's time for a hard-earned tea. Let's go. So I've made a chai. It's a bit of a mash-up chai. Okay. So it might not be the chai that you had. Did you drink a lot of chai growing up?
Yeah, it was the first time I went to hospital. It was the tea that kept me alive. Well, like, kept me going through the hospital experience. I got dehydrated in India, which a lot of people do now. Got Delhi belly in Kerala. And yeah, I had to go to hospital for 6 days, and my auntie brought chai to me. And so it's got like survival memories.
Yeah, the spices, man.
Yeah.
The smells of the spices. So this one has got cinnamon.
Yeah.
Ginger, fresh ginger, lemongrass. I can smell the ginger, and it's soy milk. Hope you don't mind soy milk. So we're here at QUT, and you grew up all around the world, I know, but you spent some of your uni years here at QUT. Do you like Brisbane? Do you think it's a great city?
Yeah, it can grow on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
like lichen.
Yeah, I'm just such a bustling, like India's such a bustling country. So sometimes Australia and New Zealand, where I grew up, feel a bit staid, and it's quiet and it's beautiful and it's pretty, but I miss the buzz. And when I go back to India, like, oh, I miss this buzz. So I think that's the one thing that's missing from Brisbane. But it's comfortable, it's safe, no one gets shot, there's no caste system. It's nice. It's
like your brain craves the energy and craziness of other places, but your body loves the sort of comfort and the ooh, it's safe and it's warm and it's, you know. Yeah,
Brisbane's a warm bath. You need it, but it's not like going to be the most exciting thing in your life.
And you grew up in New Zealand and Malaysia?
Yes. Yeah. We left India when I was 1.
Yep.
I think we were a family of coconut farmers, and everyone took a little slice of the coconut farm, and Dad said, oh, I don't think I'll have a coconut patch. I think I'll go and study medicine. And so he did that, and then just bailed on his brothers and went to England. And so we grew up in England and Malaysia and New Zealand mostly.
So you went to school in England as well?
Yeah, 6 years, yeah.
Boarding school?
No, but they all feel like a boarding school because they're so English.
But they're not a boarding school.
Yeah, they're not. Like, they used to, like, you have to call the teachers Sarah and Madam. Yeah. And we used to have to do PE in our undies. Did you ever have that?
No.
Okay. I'm not sure it was just me in hindsight.
I think they just made you wear your undies.
Used to end up in our undies, just climbing ropes and climbing beams.
Wow.
Yeah. So
white undies?
No, they were like the Indian style white front undies, brown, skin brown with white trim. So I looked like my father, but like a little version of him doing backflips in England.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's my day.
That's brilliant. And what about in New Zealand? I know you played a bit of cricket. You've told me about your cricketing days.
I did do cricket, but I also tried rugby because I thought I've got to fit into this country.
Yeah. You're going to get hard.
Yeah, I didn't realise how tough a sport it is until I signed up.
Until you were beaten to a pulp.
Yeah, it's just getting smashed by giant Pacific Islander dudes who are... A
bit like I beat you up today, but...
Yeah, but like, they were even stronger than you back then. And
That's pretty tough.
That's saying something, yeah. But yeah, it was a pretty country to grow up in. And I'm feeling like I'm being a bit negative. It was just quiet. I miss buzz, Sue. I miss buzz. I left Asia when I was 1, so I missed out on all the buzz.
And what about Malaysia? That would have been different again.
Malaysia had buzz.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's still developing and it's very multi-ethnic. So you're walking around and you're hearing Malay and Chinese and English and slang, and guys are holding hands with each other. Like, you know, there's that Asian thing where guys hold hands.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I like that because it's just more warm. Yeah. I think I miss that warmth. Whereas I think Australia and New Zealand are more blokey cultures. Maybe it's the sports we do. The national sports here are rugby and rugby league and AFL are quite macho sports. Whereas you look at countries where the national sport is soccer or foot volleyball, like in Malaysia, they got sepak takraw, which is like foot volleyball. These are all like quite playful sports, and the people are more playful in that way.
I know you've talked about this whole East-West dichotomy and how that plays out. Can you tell me a bit more about your thoughts about that, about East versus West? I know you've been hinting about that already now with the stuff we've been talking about, but how do you think that plays out in a country like Australia?
I think mostly we're still West here with a touch of East. We're West with a bit of butter chicken, bit of, roast duck. But I think as time goes on and as the demography changes, because the main migrants here now are Chinese and Indian and Indonesian, Malaysian, so I think the character will change of the country. And I think, it won't just be West with a touch of East, it'll be genuinely a mix. So just little things, like in India there's a concept in the arts where your main job as an artist is to strike a mood in the audience. And there's 8 moods that are supposed to be at the heart of life, like fear, jealousy, or spiritual transcendence. And every artist, like when you see the dancers doing this or this, all these movements, these mudras, have a certain spiritual meaning. When the tabla player is doing a drum beat, they're supposed to strike one of those 8 styles of mood, or when the sitar is hitting a particular note, it's all about striking a mood. And so that's like an Eastern concept, which might
a non-verbal as opposed to a verbal.
Yeah, it's very intuitive culture. And they say like Indians in general are moon people. Like our calendar is based on the moon, the Western calendar is based on the sun. And in the sun world, everything is well lit, black, white. It's very clear cut. And whereas the moon culture, the culture of the nighttime, there's a bit more mystery and intuition, and things are hidden and not so obviously stated. So I think a bit of that Indian moon culture might start to seep into Australia.
And what are some of the questions you have when you were younger, you would have had, and also have now, about your culture? What sort of questions do people ask you? What are their attitudes to you as an individual generally?
Like, where are you from?
Yep.
I got that a lot. I don't think there's overt racism it's not as common anymore. I might happen to me twice a year. Like I remember the last time I was on the bridge just nearby, and this guy asked to sell me an umbrella, and that was his distribution model, to sell umbrellas on the bridge. I was like, oh no, it's okay, I've already got an umbrella. And he's like, oh, you Punjab, and he did the head bobble and he did the Punjab thing, just because I wouldn't buy his umbrella, because I didn't need an umbrella at the time. I would have bought it if I needed it.
If you actually needed the umbrella.
Yeah, but I didn't, and so he did that. So overt racism like that's twice a year.
Yeah, but what about the surreptitious stuff? The stuff that's just below the surface?
But then you never see that. Like if someone doesn't give you a job offer because they didn't like your name on your CV, you won't know that that's happened. So it's way more subtle now. But that doesn't mean it's disappeared. And occasionally it comes out when people are angry. When they're angry enough, people who seemed quite liberal to you will start to say racist things. Like I had a landlord once who seemed very liberal. She travelled to India. Then in the middle of a fight, because we had a disagreement about the rent, then she goes, oh, well, when did you come to Australia?
Right.
How long had you been in Australia? Are you Australian yet? So that language comes out when they're angry enough.
Yes.
But you can keep it down.
Just sitting below the surface.
Yeah.
Which is quite a worry, really, because you think it's gone and then it comes back. So when you were growing up, what things did you do you think, to try and fit in more, to try and make yourself feel invisible or feel like everyone else? What was some of your strategies?
So I mentioned playing rugby before. That was strategy one.
Strategy one.
That was. I had a Western name. I had a name come up, and I never used it. I was going to be called Lane. Lane was my white name.
And you used it?
Like in my fantasy world, I was Lane the volleyball player. So I had this fantasy, I was Lane this volleyball player. And like I was really fitting in with everyone. But I never used the name.
It was just in your head. It's just if you needed to pull it out. So that was strategy 2. What's strategy 3?
You know, when people would ask me if I spoke Malayalam, my home language, I'd say no, because they would want to hear it.
Yep. I
was thinking they wanted to hear it to make fun of it. Maybe that wasn't it, they just wanted to hear it. But yes, I just sort of masked that Indian stuff. Didn't listen to a lot of Indian music or follow Bollywood, or wasn't interested in the country and the culture. If too many Indians got together in a group, I'd be like, oh, it's like we're segregating ourselves from the rest
Spread
of white
out,
society.
guys.
Exactly. Like COVID, 3 square metres between every Indian, like an Indian safe restriction zone.
And then at what point did you sort of start coming back to Indian culture? I noticed you told me a bit about getting into some Hindi films and getting into the language, or trying to get into the language. When did that realisation
It must have been
happen?
after university. After I realised that I'm not white Kiwi or white New Zealand, white Australian, and that there is a difference, and it does matter. It doesn't have to be huge, but it still matters.
Yeah.
Then I started to take more of a curiosity in India, and got back into what is a fascinating culture to begin with, because it's a very old land with a lot of thoughts about religion and consciousness and music and spices and mudras, and there's so much there to explore. It seems like a waste to turn your back on all of that to fit in and be like a rugby player from southern New Zealand. So I guess, I took an interest in it after that.
Because that uniqueness then suddenly becomes a bit of a, feather in your cap, really, particularly if you're an artist, the whole difference and the uniqueness becomes something like, this could be something I can play on, and even now with your comedy, I'm guessing it's something that it really...
It comes out a lot, but it's also useful for life. I think every culture has spent thousands of years trying to solve life's problems, like how to be happy, how to live with nature, how to have a harmonious family, and we've all come up with different answers. So if you're drawing on 2 cultures, that's twice the answers that you can use for most problems in your life, like whether to use an extended family or a more nuclear family, whether to be respectful to your elders or to be more individualistic. It's just good to draw on 2 sources of culture, so I thought, that's what I'll do from now.
And that's kind of where what we're drawing on for this series of interviews is talking about that hybrid, talking about drawing on other cultures. What do you think your hope or visions are for Australia for the future?
I hope that it normalises non-white people and truly normalises them. We think we have. We think we've got a Bill of Rights, or not a Bill of Rights, we think we've got anti-discrimination laws that make everyone normal again, so everyone's on a living playing field. But you imagine if the breakfast TV show tomorrow morning was hosted by 2 Middle Easterners. Yeah. What would be the reaction on the internet? Would that be something people didn't notice at all? Because in a normal society, you wouldn't even care what their origin was. So
most audiences would just assume it was a joke.
Yeah. I mean, you can't even get one on there. So I think when we get to that stage where everyone is normal, that's when we've probably grown up as a culture, I think. But that's a long time away, and I think it'll happen slowly as the demography changes. So what happened is we've just been filming some episodes, and Sue said just come and do a stand-up episode. I want to try stand-up for the first time. So she's been training for the last few months. And this is a weird environment, but I think you guys are warm, you're friendly, and you know her. So let's just get the show on the road. Hey, this is Suzanne, live and dangerous.
Thanks to my friends who I may or may not have paid for being here tonight. Doesn't matter. That's all good. That's all good. So Ashwin's been training me. I feel like I've been his apprentice. Like sorcerer's apprentice. I feel like I have a hump and a club foot, and yes, master. But he'd probably enjoy that a little bit too much. I didn't really want him doing some comedy before I came on because I thought, oh man, that's going to be. But he kind of, didn't do that well, so I feel a bit okay about coming on. In fact, he had to rely on the audience to get the laugh. So all sweet, all sweet. Mind you, the coaching, he's been putting me through paces. He's been putting me through paces, and if I suck tonight, but anyway, at least we've got someone to blame. That guy over there, it's all his fault. No, seriously. He's been literally putting me through my paces. So, how to pace, how to walk the floor, walk this way, don't walk that way. What to do with your mic. Is it 2 hands? Is it 1 hand? Is it no hands? That sort of stuff. He's taught me about the inner clown. Bring out the inner clown. And how to get the anger out. And I thought to myself, man, I don't have any trouble. For all of you that know me, my anger is kind of my natural state, so it doesn't matter, it's there. It's all the time. So that's my natural state. But putting me through my paces, it kind of reminded me of what it was like with my mother when I was a kid, She used to put me through my paces, let me tell you. It was challenging. So we'd, as a kid, we'd have big events, big celebrations, big Sri Lankan weddings, like hundreds of people, big christenings, big 21sts, hundreds of people there. And as a good Sri Lankan girl, and Rowan would understand this, we had tasks, we had roles to do. It wasn't just about turning up like my brother could do and, you know, stand there looking glamorous in his Technicolor shirt. I actually had to do stuff. So I'd be serving the food, I'd be looking after the grandparents, I'd be chasing up the babies, I'd be bridesmaid or flower girl or something, you know, really important. And my mother would always be there, and my mother was a little bit ruthless, a little bit controlling. Rowan's giving me a knowing look. She'd be off in the wings. She'd be off in the wings telling me what to do, and incredibly ruthless. And she'd have her arms going around like she was some sort of ground controller, you know, like moving backwards and forwards, and she'd be like, Susie, no, child, come forward, no, go backwards, no, you're stepping on the grandparents, pick up the baby, don't drop the sambal, child, come, stand up straight, look at everyone, what are you doing? And I was a bit like the robot out of Lost in Space, you know. I'd be like, do I go backwards? Do I go forwards? And all the time, desperately trying not to draw attention to myself. As I've gone through this sort of stuff, and I've been standing here tonight talking to all of you, it's kind of reminded me of what it was like, you know, as a kid. And then I look over at my coach, I look at Ashwin, and I think, he's not yelling. He's not pointing. He's not moving his arms around. He's not telling me what to do. But when I look deep into his eyes, all I can hear is, Susie, what are you doing? Come back, don't walk. Pick up the mic, child. Don't do that. You're entertaining the audience. Why can't you do what I told you to do? Just be funny. Thank you.